The head of Chechnya, Ramzan Kadyrov, appeared in public for the first time after rumors about his alleged death and reports of a serious car accident involving his son, Adam Kadyrov. Ramzan Kadyrov was part of the Russian delegation at the Kremlin negotiations between Putin and the President of the United Arab Emirates, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. In this regard, the head of Chechnya decided to comment on the negotiations between Ukraine, the US, and Russia.
The war must be brought to an end. Negotiations. After everything he has done, I am against negotiations.
According to media reports, the head of Chechnya's health has recently deteriorated. It was claimed that his kidneys had failed. It is also claimed that Kadyrov has been suffering from pancreatic necrosis for more than 5 years. Ramzan Kadyrov's condition is worsening for a reason. He was poisoned, said Ichkerian public figure and human rights activist Musa Lamayev on the program Argument.
There is reliable information stating that Ramzan Kadyrov was poisoned with Novichok. And because of this, Ramzan Kadyrov cannot use his kidneys, since in fact he received a kidney transplant. And as we can see, it did not help him. He received a kidney from his paternal uncle.
According to the human rights activist, the head of Chechnya is undergoing chemotherapy.
Kadyrov sometimes swells up like a balloon, then deflates like a punctured one. This indicates that he is undergoing comprehensive chemotherapy.
Important Stories reports, citing a source close to the Kremlin, that the situation with the leadership of Chechnya is extremely serious and the Kremlin is working on a solution. It is noted that Kadyrov's son Adam cannot head Chechnya until he turns 30. Therefore, another option is currently being considered, appointing one of Kadyrov's associates as the head of the republic. Among the most likely candidates are Adam Delimkhanov and Magomed Daudov, who have long been considered potential successors.
Our viewers are asking a lot of questions about the car accident, or so-called car accident involving Kadyrov. Why do I say so-called? Because I was very intrigued by your words that his car was fired upon with a grenade launcher. Can you share more details, and specifically, for example, who was the target? Was it his son, or were they aiming at the father himself? Who was the primary target?
Well, as you can certainly appreciate and understand, we are prohibited from mentioning any specific names. However, this information was sourced from people who are currently employed within the Chechen Investigative Committee. Yes, because they said that criminal cases have been opened under the relevant articles, not for a traffic accident, but for terrorist acts and murder. And accordingly, at a significant distance further away from the specific location where the incident with Kadyrov's son's car originally took place, a Toyota Land Cruiser Jeep was discovered completely abandoned by the roadside, containing even 3 additional unused rocket-propelled grenades, and one that had already been fired. In other words, they hit the target with the first shot. The explosion, struck the engine of the car. But as we can see, there have been absolutely no information leaks. Various clients are being considered. The clients could be in different places, including, in fact, those connected to the Kremlin. For example, Patrushev, who oversaw Kadyrov himself. Apparently, Kadyrov has not remained entirely under control, as well as various people from Chechnya itself, whether it's Apti Alaudinov, Daudov, or Delimkhanov. That is, all candidates for the future head of Chechnya could be interested in this situation. A separate question is whether this is a warning to Kadyrov himself. Still, I think that the real target was, of course, his son himself, and most likely the plan was to eliminate Adam Kadyrov, but it didn't work out. However, the injuries are quite serious. And the most interesting thing is the almost total blockade of any information. It is truly remarkable because, I just honestly cannot recall such an absolute and comprehensive total blackout on every single piece of relevant information, where not a single leak site has managed to give us anything at all. Absolutely 0 leaked photographs from the hospital room, or really nothing else whatsoever. And again, there are, various unconfirmed reports circulating that even when someone desperately tries to sell something, not a single media outlet or individual is actually buying it. And it's also clear why. Because everyone remembers the stories about the administrators of the same Telegram channel Baza, who ended up in prison for buying leaks from Ministry of Internal Affairs employees. And apparently every single piece of data has been locked down so tightly that absolutely nobody feels particularly eager or is even just panicked at the very thought of publishing any kind of leak. when there's a complete and total information blackout currently in effect. That's why all we read about is how someone arrives at the Bobkin hospital, how they're staying there, how no one is allowed into the 9th building where they're being kept, and so on. But there is, of course, no other information from the Chechen Investigative Committee, no official data, and even the unofficial information is pretty scarce.
And all of this, you have to agree, only confirms how serious the situation is. I mean, in terms of his health, right? This kind of information blackout, because, well, if things weren't critically bad in the very first days, they would have already published photos of him doing push-ups, coming to his senses, recovering. They would have posted those pictures, doctor's statement saying the condition is serious but not critical, then he's on the mend and so on. Do you have any information at all about what condition they're in right now? Maybe something has leaked to you personally. And Kadyrov Sr., who, according to some Telegram channels, has already suffered heart failure due to kidney necrosis.
Well, still, from the point of view of Z, according to the information that I have, still, he is not in critical condition. I mean, Adam.
Yes.
Yes. And actually, most likely he survived and will survive. And actually, but it won't be fast, right? That is, if they removed his spleen, which is highly likely, then recovery will take quite a significant amount of time. And apparently he is in such a condition that he can't be photographed, and accordingly it seems he can't stand there and so on, or sit and so forth and so on. And accordingly, it's simply impossible to take any photos that correspond to the current time. That's why they periodically try to show us some old footage and so on. Another thing is, again, we perfectly understand that if Kadyrov Sr., well, not the eldest, who has long since passed away, but this middle one, Ramzan, kicks the bucket, then accordingly, in any case, everything will be complicated in the Republic and the Kremlin won't be able to appoint Adam. First of all, legally, it's impossible to appoint Adam. He hasn't yet reached the required age to become the head of Chechnya. But of course, the Kremlin doesn't want to appoint him under any circumstances either.
Well, and now?
Maybe.
Yes, that is correct.
And maybe this, well, let's put it this way, possible assassination attempt is actually a kind of warning, not to try to twist our arms because it won't work out for you anyway.